meeting to order of the Shaftsbury Select Board at 6:36 on Monday, June 16th, 2014. First up is conflict of interest statement. Does anyone on the board have a conflict of interest with anything on the agenda tonight?
No.
No. Approval of minutes. Margie is down there getting us another set of minutes. Are they in Dropbox now?
They're in Dropbox.
All right. We just go ahead and move that over to where I'm getting all the rest of this.
So this basically was the one that I just sent you was the PDF. Everybody had a chance to look at the PDF version of the comments from our first town plan hearing. And this is just a set of minutes that has been formatted to look like minutes. And there wasn't a whole lot of change to the discussion. But you may want to approve those
Bring those
again
up.
at
The
your
thing,
last meeting.
unless if you filled in the names, that was the only thing that I noticed that we didn't have.
Names, and there was,
names on
sometimes you didn't have a real sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's what I did.
Okay, yeah. Looks like you got the names. It looks like it's been cleaned up. So this is what's in the PDF, just tidied up a bit. As far as content, I didn't see anything I needed to change to it. Did anyone else?
No.
No.
All right, I make a motion that we approve the minutes for the town plan meeting of May 13th, 2014 as they are.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have minutes for our meeting on May 5th. I believe I made a couple of changes in here.
Yeah, and those have been reflected. Those are now part of the document.
Okay, so they have been included.
Yes.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes for May 5th. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have minutes for our meeting on May 19th. I had some additions there too, I believe, and have they been incorporated here? All right. I make a motion we accept the minutes for May 19th.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Minutes for June 2nd. I make a motion we accept the minutes
Now,
for
there I did ask for feedback.
Right.
June 2nd.
For,
Yeah, I've got a motion. Do I have a second?
sorry.
Second.
Any discussion on the minutes for June 2nd?
You know, this is the second time we were looking at the minutes of the 19th. So perhaps we just want to delete the fact that we talked about those minutes. Because we just approved them. But it looks like back on the 2nd of June, they were slated to be approved then.
Okay.
And you had already
right.
made a
It's
different
part
set.
in yellow here?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So shall we strike that?
I think that would be helpful. It's too confusing otherwise.
Forgot where I do that. Straight through. There it is. Any other changes? Scott, I see Dropbox. What is this?
Now, later on, yeah, under the conflict of interest policy and action, there were elements of the discussion that I just didn't get. Tim, you did a little preface introducing the question and saying the question before the select board is, should Ken Harrington be precluded from voting on the location of the town garage? It sounds like that you read a motion and I thought it was in Dropbox or I thought it was somewhere, because I don't have a copy of it.
Oh, okay.
And Mitch got a second, and then Ken stated, this is an infringement of my personal constitutional rights. Then Tim noted the board is only talking about the select board's conflict of interest policy. Then Art makes a motion to postpone discussion, but we already had a motion on the table, so I don't remember what happened to the original motion.
The original motion was postponed, and I'm trying to find...
You can postpone a motion?
I use the word
Action.
table. I don't know if table is the same as postpone or not.
Usually when people say table, they mean postpone. Table means it goes down and it doesn't come up again until it's voted on. Postpone means you just set a date to deal with it again, and that's usually what is being dealt with.
So all I need, Mitch, is Tim, is your motion that you made. And then what I would do is change, instead of Art Whitman made the motion to postpone discussion, it would be to postpone action, right? Would be a better,
Well, we postponed the motion. So the motion is in discussion, it's been made, but it's been
postpone the motion.
postponed until such time as we decide to deal with it again. We were postponing it to give, in particular, to give Ken another chance to
Yes.
get his information from the
From the
Secretary of
Secretary
State.
of State. The question is postponed, and that's how we left
He,
it. Yeah,
I believe it was, should Ken Harrington recuse from matters related to placing a town garage at the transfer station site due to his owning land abutting site. Does that agree with everyone's recollection on that?
Yep.
So I think with that addition, we cover what's
that's good, and then Mitch
dealt
said,
with
that's
there.
perfect.
And then it's postponed?
Yep, good.
Any other additions or corrections to the minutes for June 2nd? All in favor of approving the minutes for June 2nd as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Was that it?
That is it.
Okay, good.
June 10.
Oh, no, sorry.
June
One
10.
last set, June 10.
Right, where are they? 6-2, 6-2, here's his phone. Did I not get those out of Dropbox?
Should have. They're there. Oh, yeah.
610, okay. Let me copy those into my folder here. These are the meetings from the town planning hearing.
This is the town plan hearing.
And we had seen this earlier in PDF, correct?
No,
Sorry, I missed
Oh,
this.
we
Yeah.
haven't seen.
these were brand new. We did these right away. This
Okay.
was just last week.
So these just showed up a few minutes ago.
No,
Yeah, they've been.
they were in
Have they?
in Dropbox
they were in Dropbox.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
from Friday.
Yes, okay, I recognize them now. Yes. I move that we approve the minutes from the town plan hearing on June 10th. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Did you get documentation from the people that you asked them to send in their
I did not.
comments? So all you've got is just what
What we captured that
you
night.
captured.
Yeah, so I say in here that we are getting Dave Mance and Tom Daly both. It sounds like we're going to summarize the comments they made to you in writing, and they probably have additional comments. Bill Pennybaker handed comments, and I don't know if the minutes should reflect those. I mean, I have them as an attachment, but you haven't even seen them. There was a list of editorial comments that he gave at the end of the first hearing. It was mostly add comma, add period, change evaluate to evaluating. These are all very much editorial in nature. And then,
Yeah, I think it's,
I think you had,
it would behoove us to acquire those comments
Yes.
as we proceed with the town plan editing, but as far as minutes are concerned, again, there's no requirement that we capture every word that's said
Okay.
in the minutes, and
Okay,
so I would recommend we go ahead and approve the minutes.
but I think we should push to get those, please.
Yes.
yes.
So any more discussion on the minutes? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Abstain.
You were not there?
Right.
All right, so we have 401. All right. Clean up this a bit. Approval of warrants. I have check warrant number 34 in the amount of $24,685.81. The major items on this warrant are Blue Cross Blue Shield, $7,310. Cartographic Technologies, $1,200 for the listers. Endyne, $2,445.
That's water testing.
Water testing,
That's just the chemical component, the sampling. Then we'll get the engineering sampling time.
okay. For Ray and Sons,
Fuel oil.
fuel oil, thank you. $1,211, $793, $717. And then KAS Inc., Around the Block
Now,
Sidewalk,
that's,
1991.
yeah, we're steaming down the home course on trying to get right-of-way clearance for the sidewalk over here. And so this is you've got a couple of hours, well, not a couple, but you've got more design work as a result of that.
Okay. UI Insurance Services, 2166. I move we approve check warrant number 34. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Tim, do you see a retirement warrant underneath that somewhere? I didn't see another retirement warrant. I just saw the payroll.
This all came up when I
Yeah,
picked
I
it
think
up.
the green file is okay. It would be the other warrant that you've got.
This one here?
Yeah, I think I'll ask Bill to get it. Look for it when it comes up.
This looks like a payroll warrant here.
Yep.
Okay. Payroll warrant. I'll find the number on it.
If you don't see a date, just give me the the number, give me the date.
I've
on
got a
that.
date. Payroll warrant for June 9, 2014, the amount of $16,090.84. I move we approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, public comments. Do we have any public comments tonight? Okay. Item number 6 is a road foreman's report. We put this on the agenda forgetting that our road foreman was on vacation this week. I was thinking that perhaps Art and Ken could bring us up to date on the discussions on Holy Smoke Road. They have been meeting, along with some of the other selectmen, with residents on Holy Smoke Road to discuss clearing the road, widening the road, and removing trees. So you want to tell us what's been happening there?
Yeah, a week ago, last Thursday, we met for the first time. The road is down to about 11 or 12 feet in certain areas. In fact, the grader can't even go up through there with its blade completely extended because of trees growing on the edge of the road and all that sort of stuff. And there's no ditch to funnel the water and that sort of stuff in the steepest part. So there was talk about removing a lot of trees and that sort of stuff, and that got some of the neighbors concerned. So the first meeting, there was over 15 people there, and there was a lot of discussion on where the water should go, how wide the road should be, and so on and so forth. So everybody was having trouble visualizing what it was going to look like. So we made the decision that Terry would, in the next few days, take some red tape and mark the edge of the ditch, the far edge of the ditch, only on one side, because that's all that was necessary. Mark out where 2 culverts would go, and then mark down some huge trees that would have to come down. And so the next Thursday, just a week later, we all met at the same time, and there were still 10 or 12 people there, but they seemed to pretty much be quite happy with where the tapes were, the trees that were marked, except for one particular tree that I don't know what is going to happen there. That's between one of the landowners. The problem is that one of the persons that doesn't want the tree removed, it's not on his property or anything else. He lives quite a ways down the road, but just is concerned about the fact that if we take the tree, then we've got a huge hole on the edge of the road and so on and so forth. But I'm sure we'll come up with something. But so it's all pretty much agreed that the ditch, the culverts, and all that sort of stuff are necessary, and he'll be going ahead with that.
Okay, good. Thank you. Any
And
other
I
road
did-
issues you want to bring to our attention?
You got anything that's about the way you read it, Ken?
Not on that up there, that ditch on Vernon Odell on Twitchell Hill. That's still got to be paved, it's getting worse too, Mark.
That's right. He said he was going to do that after the initial round of grading was going to be all done.
Okay, because I saw Vern at the store the other day.
Yep. And I had complaints that I didn't receive complaints about Bayhan, but Art did, and I had complaints as well as Art about the condition of Myers Road. So they've both been graded today, so it might be worth going up and taking a look. But we graded from Route 7A up around to Eric Strubel's flats, the flats by,
No, I got a complaint
Decline.
on Ban Road too, I forgot about that. I see they graded that today though.
yeah. So,
Margie and I were kind of had a little conversation this afternoon. It'd be nice if someplace, whether it be on a computer or on the wall or something like that, a map of the town roads, and either put a pin on it, or in the case of a computer, mark it on when that was graded, so that there's not this discussion, well, I think I did it 2 weeks ago, or it's already been done twice. And just so, even so the public, even so it's visual to the public too. Margie does get a report, but sometimes it's several weeks late from what he has done and so on and so forth. But I just think it would make everybody more aware we're getting the comments every once in a while, we got 2 graders, why are the roads and why is this particular road in that shape? So I think if it was all kind of open, more visual, then I think it would get a little bit more attention, but that's something we're gonna work on.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Terry does have a map in his office of where he does larger improvements, like putting down fabric and that sort of thing.
Yep.
And, yeah, being able to keep track of that, probably the computer is the right place, because it happens regularly, and,
That's-
you know,
yeah, I
after
agree.
one season, your paper map would be covered with all the times we've graded it. Something worth looking into.
Well, down this time of year, you should be down 10 to, where you don't need to grade the whole road anyway.
They're done.
Yes.
You should be just, section of potholes or
Right.
something. You don't need to grade the whole road for that. That's just wasting chloride.
Right, right. Anything else on roads? All right, our next item that we have on the agenda is bids on our insurance. We're scheduled to hear from a couple of parties tonight on that. Margie, you were suggesting that we take Michael Day out of order?
I was?
No? Okay. Well, then we'll just, Michael, you're happy to be here with us? All right. We'll just plow ahead then. All right.
No, that was the treasurer that had wondered if we wanted to move him up.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
But our League of Cities and Towns folks have traveled a long distance.
Yeah, come on up.
We have Chair 1? What happened to the other chair? Ken, snuck around my
There
chair.
are.
Okay.
I'm Pam Pecto, this is Vicki Abear. We are from the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to present a quote for
Thank you for coming.
insurance. We've got some packets for you, we'll give those to you in a moment, but I just want to give you a little background on us. You'll hear us a lot, we call it passive, and it stands for Property and Casualty Intermunicipal Fund. It was formed back in 1986 as a nonprofit risk management organization and not an insurance company. What happened is in the late 80s, the commercial insurers kind of abandoned the municipal market, and we had member municipalities that came to VLCT because we had the league to see if there was something that we could do, and kind of long story short, Passive was formed. So traditional insurance companies exist to make money, they pay their shareholders, and pools exist to offer stable pricing, specialized coverages, and try to reduce your risk through our loss control programs. We're governed by a board of directors. It's made up of municipal officials, so we feel that our members have a voice in the way that the trust is run, and we are only dedicated to municipal entities. We can't insure the, auto garage down the road. You have to follow certain qualifications in order to be a member, so we really tailor what we do to municipal entities. Like I said, we're not in a business to make a profit, and we give back money to the members. If there's any surplus when the years are closed for claims, it's given back as a credit off of your premium or contribution. And to date, we've returned over $14 million to the membership. We are financially strong. We're regulated by the Vermont, they changed their names. Department of Financial Regulation.
Thank you, Vicki. I knew there was a reason I brought you. So, we do have to file our rates with them. We can't just do what we want to do. We do have, I think, some differences in coverage as far as what you have and what we offer. We offer a package pricing. It's not a little bit of this or a little bit of that, or you can have this or you can have that.
We have up to 10 million as our standard liability limits, and I think that you have maybe $1 million and a $3 million aggregate, I think is what you hold. We've just found that because municipal entities are sort of out there and some of the liability issues can be, people want to sue municipalities because they think they have deep pockets. So we just felt we were able to offer that to our members at reasonable rates. So that's our standard liability limit.
Pam, has that gone up in the past couple of years?
The 10 million,
Yeah.
we've had it for, is it Vicki? Probably the last
Say at
4.
least 3 or 4 years,
Yeah, 4 years. We were at a $5 million limit, and we did a little work with our reinsurers to see if we could go to the higher limit, and we were able to do that, so it's been probably the last 4 years. We have in-state, in-house claim staff, underwriting staff, member relations staff. If you need a certificate of insurance, you call us, we can get it to you. If you have contracts that you have insurance language in that you'd like someone to review, we can do it. Like I said, the workers' comp and the property and casualty claims staff is right in our office in Montpelier. And so to get to sort of our specialized trainings is your membership in passive includes all of our loss control trainings. So we have a lot of good programs. Vicki's got some packets that are there that that I can just kind of highlight some of the, and I've got your packet, Margie. I need it for right now. If you go to the left side of the packet, there is a yellow sheet and a green sheet. We have what we call a equipment grant. Our board of directors allocated $200,000 to this program. It's been going for the last probably 3 years, but this year they allocated $200,000. So it helps you purchase equipment that will help reduce loss, and there's a matching fund. You can get up to $5,000, and we would provide matching funds. There are obviously some requirements, but some of the things, just to name a few, I'm not going to go into everything. Backup cameras have been really a big item because that's where we're seeing a lot of backing accidents. Eye wash stations, ergonomic equipment, portable light towers, turnout gear for the fire department, or things that, trench boxes. There's a long list, and I'm not going to go through them all. You can look at it when you have a chance. But this program right now it's a really easy grant to get. We have people that you fill out the application, send it in. If there's some issues or something that we see or something that doesn't qualify, we talk to you, and then obviously find something that you need that does qualify. But I think I checked just this past week, and out of the 200,000, it's on a first come, first served basis, one per member. There's, I think, about 15,000 left, and that's it. So it usually, our calendar year goes from January to January on a calendar year. So come January, the board will probably again allocate more money because it's been very popular and it's helped our members with a lot of safety equipment that they normally were going to purchase anyway. We also have a scholarship program. There's probably more money left in this than there is in the grant program, but one person could get a scholarship up to $500, or you could do a group training up to, I believe it's $2,500. There's a list of different things that you could use it for. Even if you were going to bring someone in and do some sexual harassment training, or you wanted to do a group training, it's really pretty beneficial. So those are a few of the things that we have on the loss control side. There's a brochure here that has a lot of highlights and distinctions and certain things that we do. We offer, when I say we offer trainings, it's things like flagger certification, Stevens driver, we have an online university, we have loss control specialists that come out and do a lot of training for your municipality. And if you, your highway guys, we provide the drug and alcohol consortium. You probably pay per driver.
Yeah.
$150. If you're part of passive, you don't have to pay that fee. And let me see what else I haven't touched on. We have a Work Strong program that Heidi Joyce used to go out and do a lot of the health screenings, and health has taken a kind of a turn in a funky way. So she's doing some one-on-one wellness consultations that, doing some fitness evaluations. She's been working with some of the highway crew, doing stretching and some of that, and it's actually been received really well. So she's,
Would love to see our crew out stretching in the parking lot.
and they could also, we do yoga too.
That would be,
So we have some pictures
be
of
worth
that,
camera.
and, yeah. So that's just another program that we have. And one other thing that I wanted to touch on was new, this is a fairly new program, the Employment Practices Liability Assistance. We're seeing, these are claims that are really on the rise, things like wrongful termination, discrimination, harassment, costly claims. So we have a program in place that you can call. So you end up calling our Municipal Assistance Center and talk to our attorneys there. They sort of listen to what your issue is, and we have some participating attorneys that they will refer you to so that you can get some advice to deal with your situation. And if you follow their advice and it ends up that a claim arises, then you wouldn't have to deal with the deductible. These claims usually have a $2,500 deductible, but this is really where we're seeing a lot of issues coming up. So we've had members, it's new for this year, we've had members use it, and we've gotten some really good feedback. So it's another way that we're trying to prevent losses before they happen. The only other thing that I had is there's a contribution summary. Keep in mind, it says on here that your coverage is 7/1, so this would take you to the end of the year, and then we would renew in January because we're on a calendar year. So this year, this price is it's prorated for the rest of the year. Do you have any questions for me?
so the quote is this page here.
Yes.
And Margie, this is all of the insurance that we currently carry?
The only thing that is not on here is the rec policy.
That was a, separate coverage that Wills has.
It's like
for
a,
us.
it's like a participant accident policy, kind of like that school policy where the participants are covered for baseball and soccer and
Coaches.
something else, yeah. That is not on here.
So, carrying along that line of thinking, all of our volunteers are covered under which, just general liability?
Yes, you're under our policy, it's your employees, your public officials, elected or appointed, and volunteers are covered under the general liability.
So there's no separate PLO or public liability insurance?
No, it's all
It's all
under
wrapped in.
into
Okay.
this.
And the firefighters' liability, however, that is...
The firefighters are covered under this for liability. We do
Yeah.
put the firefighters in what we call assigned risk. You'll see it, a line there.
Yep.
What happens with the firefighters is there's a lot of them are volunteers, or they get paid little or no money, and they have to be covered by statute for workers' comp. It was a while back, the decision was made, the state, the Department of Insurance, I think, got 3 different carriers. I kind of call it the public defenders for assigned. It's like that because certain carriers have to take the firefighters. So we removed them from the pool because they were kind of poisoning, it's like poisoning the pool. They're not bringing in a lot of money, but, there are claims. So by putting them in assigned risk, it they're still covered. We still oversee the claims that come through our office. They're handled through our office too, but it's with carriers like, is it Acadia, Liberty, and Travelers, Vicki? So,
And the crime policy?
part of the package, you have 500,000.
Yeah, there it is.
Up to 500,000 for employee dishonesty and faithful performance for your employees, your officials, and your volunteers. You don't have to have a separate bond.
And let's see, what else was I thinking about? Oh, fraud protection.
As far as,
Oh, this would be my treasurer's downstairs. This was always Bill's.
He's here.
big-
Right there.
Oh, where's Bill? Here. Bill, do you want to help me out here on the exposure for fraud? I know we have coverage.
We're bonded, as I think Dave could probably answer that better.
Bond.
We have a separate bond for $300,000.
Is at the moment?
yeah, ours, it's part of,
Yes. Is the
It's-
answer then?
it's part of our coverage. The 500,000 is employee dishonesty and,
There it is.
and faithful performance. Yes, he's covered,
Yep.
So that's included in this quote?
yes.
Yep.
Where is that included?
It's in the
general?
crime section.
Okay. Does that include the insurance against cybercrime that I heard about in one of your workshops?
There is, that's part of our coverage. I don't have it's probably the one thing I didn't bring with me tonight, the coverage document, but we do have, there's some, I don't even, and I'm sorry, I don't know, it's fairly new in our coverage document this year. I think there's coverage up to, do you remember, Vicki, on the deck page? I know I don't have the deck page with me. I believe it's up to, might be up to 100,000 is the limit.
And that's included in the
Just
crime?
find out.
Yes, I can find out and give it to you,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay,
I apologize.
that's all right.
You're the first one that's asked me about that.
I went to your workshop on IT security and I
Okay.
heard about it there.
And so property is all rolled in, yeah, vehicles and mobile equipment.
Yep. The property's based on the values, obviously, that you
Yeah.
provided to me.
Yeah.
Now what, remind me, what was the one that you mentioned that was not on here, that was a separate policy?
There's a rec policy.
We have
Wreck
a
as in
rec
wrecking
policy.
cars?
I'm sorry, recreation.
Oh,
And I'd have to defer to Dave. When he presents, he can tell you what is in there.
Yeah, it's like, I think it's a little accident insurance policy.
I do too. It
Yep.
just says group accident. Costs us
Yep.
$831 a year.
Baseball 12 and under, soccer 12 and under.
oh, so this would be for what happens at Howard Park or something like that?
Yeah. Accidents on our premises, coaches, I don't.
Oh,
Of
okay.
course, a lot of them have their own policies.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if it's your program and, as far as the liability is covered, if a child is injured while, there's a baseball game going on, unless, there would be no coverage, I would assume that they might have their own medical coverage, but if they're injured just because they get hit by a pitch, or something that, it's not a liability issue, then I'm assuming that maybe is what this is for. I don't know. I can't speak to it, but it's not something that we would cover just because someone is injured because they're participating in a sports program.
Okay, but if the bleachers collapse, we would be covered?
Right.
Okay. Any more questions?
Yeah, Pam, do you still have, this was years ago that I experienced technical assistance from you folks to run through a mock VOSHA audit? And we had the field rep for where I was working at the time came and did an assessment. Now, our prior carrier, well, current carrier, Trident, did this for us several years ago. And just, it was a risk assessment. So we looked at buildings, we looked at recreational facilities and identified trip hazards, fall zones that needed to
Right.
be dealt with and this and that. But there was also a list of policies that we were supposed to have in place, from trenching, I don't know, confined spaces, bloodborne pathogens. I mean, there were about 10 policies.
Yep.
And I don't know if passive has that available and those recommendations
Our
for
law-
towns. If, for instance, if we remain a non-member.
Yep.
Is that available?
Not for non-members.
Not for non-members.
Yeah, yeah. We do have loss control specialists that will go through and do safety surveys. They'll go through your buildings and do a report as far as what they see, make recommendations.
Yeah, we had
That's,
to follow up,
yep,
which was good.
yeah,
For schedules of completion
right.
and then there was the category of financially infeasible.
Oh,
Or was gonna be too much of a significant financial burden, something like that, and allowing us several years in order to budget
Right.
for whatever it was we
right. I
had to
mean,
do.
we can make recommendations if it's not in your budget, obviously, unless it's, some glaring thing that, that you can, something that you can plan for. It's like, all right, we didn't know that, now we know. And, we'll put it, put it on the agenda or make some sort of a plan to put it into place as soon as we can, obviously.
Can you say, on average, what the percent size rebate that you hand back at the end of the year relative to, can I take X percent off of this quote and expect to
Yeah.
get it back on an average?
It's funny that you asked that, because I've been asked that a couple of different times, and Vicky can attest to this. There's a process that, it's a huge spreadsheet that, and there's some different calculations that go into it, obviously. You look at certain years, the years that get closed, so there's no more claims for that. The size of your, what we call contribution, which you would probably consider your premium, we call it contribution, and then losses. And so there's definitely, a formula that goes into it. And I wish I could give you some kind of a figure that's an average, but, it's
Can you
different.
speak historically on what you've been?
I would honestly have to look at a member that maybe is the same size as you are, or look at, contribution wise, just, to do a little bit of homework on what you would expect.
I assume the rebate is based on your financial position, but not just whether or not we make a claim, but how many claims you get from the state.
It can be. Yeah, I mean, that's part of what goes in.
Yeah, okay.
The board makes those decisions, like, all right, we're gonna give, they look at the financials and look at what's, given to them as far as, they look to advice from the actuaries and say, all right, this amount can go back, we need to keep this for surplus to be healthy, and this can go back to the members.
Okay.
Now, what the board should realize is that, I was noting your workers' comp quote, and we had paid about $16,000 a year for workers' comp. But we've had some claims in the last 18 months or so, which is why I gave you the loss runs to go over. And so we've taken a hit on our, what's it called, the mod rate?
Your experience mod.
Yeah. And I think that one of the goals we should have is to get that mod rate back down. And 2 of these incidents were in the course of firefighting. And then we had 1 incident in the garage. I believe that was it, pretty much. Oh, there might have been an injury to my transfer station attendant, just something not.
Yeah, it didn't, we looked at your last ones, it didn't look like, I mean, you had, some smaller claims, not a lot of real high dollar numbers. And it looked like you were doing, over the past, you'd done really well as far as getting your mod down, and then it's gone back up, which ends up costing you a little bit of money. But I didn't see big dollar numbers.
No, and I think it was, we were slightly vulnerable in what we've taken on a lot more maintenance of equipment. Just because we have the knowledge and the skills.
Yeah.
And so I think the one-time event in the garage that's self-cures, you
Yeah.
you limit what you do with tires,
Yeah.
period.
And I can't,
And,
I can't say I would, it'd be interesting to see, a mod worksheet, and it may be that, I saw what your mod was. I don't know what it is for the up and coming year. Maybe it's changed. Your agent can talk about that, I guess, if,
Yeah.
so.
But that's where I think the online university would be a good.
Yeah, some things happen, some things you can't, you try to control them, some things just happen. It's, a severe claim, when the little frequent ones start popping up, it's like, all right, maybe we need to do something about that. So,
But we've had no rollovers
that's good.
in plowing. We've had those occasionally in the past, and so there's the grin.
Sorry, Mark, can you turn your microphone back to you?
Oh.
She has that on now. That's all right, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much for letting us come and present our information. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Drive careful.
Yes.
All right. And now we have,
Take the microphone seat. Hello, gentlemen.
Yeah.
ladies.
Hello, Dave.
How's everybody doing tonight? Great, huh?
Oh,
You're
yeah.
on TV, it doesn't get any better, does it?
Yeah.
oh, I should mention that
Yeah.
they have a problem, in case you get asked, with the outgoing signal. They are recording the meeting tonight
All
for
right.
posting
Yeah.
on the web, but we are not being live broadcast.
That'll be a major problem for those who want to tune in prime time to see the Shaftsbury board right
I
now.
know.
It seems to me. What else are you going to watch?
World Cup.
I
come
hear
on.
from a surprising number of people who watch us on TV. All right, thank you.
One of Wild Bill since he's here.
Thank you, Mr. Noel.
I don't want to slow you down too much. I have a big agenda tonight.
And I'm sorry, I don't know your name. I should.
Dave Newell.
Dave Newell,
President of Wells
yes.
Insurance. I think I know everybody but Jim. How are you? You're the chairman. We'll keep this brief. Appreciate the opportunity. You've had the pleasure of dealing with the town's insurance for quite a while. We hope there's some advantages for local service in that. I'm going to talk a little bit about our coverage and also some thoughts from me regarding the fully insured program versus the league program. You can think a little bit about that, and you may want to have them comment too, on some of the things that I'll hand out to you in a minute. If you want to take a look at our numbers, if you look at the very last page, page 10, that gives you a 3-year picture of the premiums for the coverage we have, and the most current 14 to 15 is on the left-hand side. Everybody got that? So you can see the various lines of coverage we have there. And I'll review these coverages in some detail, but won't slow you down too much on that. That's our total quote for you this time. We'll talk a little bit about workers' comp. If you have any questions on these numbers, I'm glad to answer them, but that's the rundown of what we have. The recreation coverage that you were just discussing is a small accident coverage for use of Howard Park for town-sponsored activities there.
I think we put that in place when we had the 250th.
Yes, you have some other
think.
activities that are down there. It's
Yeah.
provides some, a death benefit, we hope that doesn't happen.
Or
It's a maximum
Cleveland
coverage.
Park. It would, should be for both.
So that's the itemization of the premiums. What I gave you in this single page was the statement of values that is the list of the town properties. So if you flip all the way to the first page, you'll see that number, 2,976,000, is a total of all the buildings and the contents that we have covered for the town. We have a blanket limit of coverage. And you'll see there on this page some of the other property coverages we have. We provide some flood insurance coverage for you, earthquake.
Earthquake.
We have a property extension endorsement, which I'll pass out to you, that gives you some other coverages like backup of water and sewer and transit coverage. We do include equipment breakdown, which is HVAC breakdown and boiler and machinery, that sort of thing for the town. It's in the middle of the first page of coverage. And we do include a list of equipment. It'd be good to have your highway foreman take a look at this, which goes to page 8. And you'll see the list of all the equipment we have for the town, various truck attachments, mobile equipment, the values, which should be their current values there. You can review that in the highway department at your convenience. Back to the first page again, which we have it marked, it's page 2. We do include the fireman's emergency equipment, $200,000 for that. We do have replacement cost coverage on the fire trucks. The limit for that's $1.2 million, so it's separate from the auto schedule. We do provide replacement insurance on them.
Is that everything, Dave, or just one vehicle?
That's all fire vehicles, one or all. We hope we don't get damaged at the same time, but that would include the fire trucks that you have. Why don't we flip, if you want, to page 5. You can take a look at the vehicle schedule. And the 06 International that you see there,
The two fire trucks?
right,
Yeah.
and the
And
one
then
right
we
underneath
have-
it are covered by that limit
Yeah.
of physical damage coverage. Liability is included in the
Yeah, and then
auto
we've got our
policy.
brush truck.
Right.
And here's the 13. Why do we have,
So we have a 13 International, we have two 13s, International
well, that's what
fire trucks?
I was looking. I mean, we've got the brush truck and we've got the pumper. But I thought that I'd have to have Joe
All right.
tell me again.
We have a 500 deductible collision where you see that marked. Fire trucks are covered by that limit I just showed you, otherwise just have liability on the other vehicles. Feel free to ask a question, anything pops up. Page 3, we do include some crime insurance for the town. Our limit is $300,000, which Margie referenced earlier. That's employee dishonesty, a blanket coverage for all town employees. We do have a separate bond on the treasurer bill for the same amount. We do include some money coverage, $20,000 at the town premises, $10,000 on the way to the bank. And we do include, which was Bill Fisk's idea, and it was a good one, forgery and alteration, computer fraud, funds transfer fraud, and money orders and counterfeit currency for you. This is on page 3, all with a $50,000 limit. A little further down, our general liability limit, your total limit is now $2 million. You have a 1 general liability, a 3 aggregate. Aggregate means in any 12-month policy term, that would be the maximum you've had on your general liability total for claims, $3 million. Your umbrella is excess over that. So any one claim you have a $2 million limit now, whether it be an auto claim, a slip and fall, a general liability claim. And your aggregate is 4, 3 plus 1. It is true the league's limits are probably higher in that they offer 10 million. I'm going to make a couple comments about that in a minute. We do include employee benefit
So
liability. If you
what
make a
number do we compare to their 10 million?
What you'd compare, Tim, is the million here plus another million umbrella, which I haven't showed you yet. So it'd be 2 million per claim versus, I guess, 10 that they offer you
Right.
on the coverage. That's right.
You threw out a few numbers here, and I couldn't
All
really
right.
follow.
I'll repeat that. So if
Okay.
you look on, again, page 3, the first thing under general liability is each occurrence, which says 1 million there. See that? That's a per claim limit on your general liability. You do have an umbrella that's excess over that. Let me refresh my memory on that. I'm sorry, it's 5 million. So your umbrella of 5 million is on top of that 1, Tim, so your total per claim is a 6 million limit. Sorry, I made that error initially. So you have a 5 million umbrella on top of that 1, so per claim you have a 6 million limit. Is that,
I don't understand the 1 million, how that's different from the 5 million umbrella.
well, umbrella gives you excess coverage if this 1 million would be exhausted on a general liability claim. Example, if you had a slip and fall and the town was sued and the judgment was for $1.5 million, the first $1 million would come from this, and then the next 5 would come from your umbrella, which happens to be a 5 million umbrella. So you have a little bit more space left in that umbrella.
Would that be a reinsure or
Well, it is
still the same pocket?
You're right, the same pocket, separate. Did I answer that all right for you? So your total limit per claim is 6 million, but what we call your underlying general liability is here, and that's a $1 million limit, and you have an umbrella that gives you excess over that, which is a 5 million limit on that. Okay,
So
total of 6.
I would compare 6 million to 10
To
million?
10, that's right.
Okay.
Yep, sorry, I made that error in the
That's all
umbrella.
right.
We do include the fire department errors and emissions, sexual abuse is included, molestation, pollution is included except for the landfill. If you want to flip to page 4, we do have a separate law enforcement coverage for you, for your constables. Again, the umbrella gives you excess over this million, so you have a total of 5 plus 1 or 6 million on this coverage also. The vehicles we discussed, same thing, million here, another 5 on top of that if you needed it for a claim with your 5 million umbrella. We do have some bells and whistles in this. The employees are covered, of course, as additional insureds as well as volunteers. It's excess over their own auto insurance. We do have a small amount of rental reimbursement and damage, physical damage to hired vehicles if you do that. We do include $5,000 for the firemen when they're driving to a fire. They have an accident in their own vehicle, we can help the firemen with a deductible. Or if they have no collision, we have a benefit up to $5,000 for them if they're responding to an emergency and they have an accident in their own vehicle. So it gives the firemen a little bit of a benefit there on their own personal vehicles. Any other questions? We'll keep rolling for you. Page 6, the workers' comp.
Yeah, let's go with that.
And Margie did share with you, and I brought some more copies of the claims, which I'll leave with Margie. The mod now for the town is, at the moment, is pretty good. You see there, it's .96. It's down, which is great, from 1.14 the year before, which is positive news. The rates went up a little bit in Vermont this year for comp. Your rate increase is rather modest on the comp, but certainly your mod helped a lot. The way these claims work, there's a bit of a long tail on this, so as Art well knows in his fine
Yeah.
business, so the year you just completed, which is 13 to 14, that year doesn't count towards your mod right now. It will count next year, year from now on there. So you skip the year it just finished, you go 3 years backwards. So there is a tail on this. It is true that the claims have not been that bad. I agree with the league's assessment and Margie's on that. I mean, you have had a handful, but they have not been catastrophic claims. But it's good to maybe take a look at these, and we do have loss control services available also. Margie mentioned the OSHA audit help and other things that you do have available from Trident if you'd like to use those services.
Oh, okay.
We have a lot of different categories there in the comp, workers' comp, which includes snow removal and the landfill employees, et cetera, and the firefighters. Page 7, and I'm sorry I was guessing wrong, you do have a 5 million umbrella, not a million. So go ahead, Margie, you have a question?
Yeah, we have, oh, I see, we have, I think that our codes, our worker comp codes are the same. We're just coming across with different titles. Hospital, veterinary, that's animal control, snow removal.
Right.
Let's
We're on
look at
page
those
6 here.
wages. We have a big difference in the clerical wages for 8810, and I want to take a look at that.
Okay.
Well, we've dropped, which is to our benefit. And, okay. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 categories. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 categories for workers' comp. And we have we have garbage works. That's a new code.
It's a new code.
And 9410, that's a whole new code. It just says municipal.
It's kind of a catch-all for everybody else. And I can get you, Margie, an audit
Yeah.
worksheet from last time.
Yeah,
You can take a look
that
at
would
how
be
that
good
was, but you probably
to
did
do
that.
that.
I'm glad, I'll get that for you. All right. Okay, page 7. You do have a 5-man umbrella, not a million. Sorry for that memory lapse on my part. And this does provide excess coverage for you over everything else as you see listed there. So it's auto liability, general liability, employer's liability as part of your workers' comp. Public officials' liability, very important for all of you to be insured for wrongful acts for all the boards and commissions, of course, including the selectmen. We do include employment practices in this coverage, which is wrongful termination, sexual harassment in the workplace, failure to promote, as well as law enforcement liability. So you have a total of a $6 million limit on top of all those policies, is how it works. It's how the umbrella coverage works for you. Next one, and we talked about the equipment. You can have the highway foreman take a look at that. Public officials liability, you do have that. There's a $2,500 deductible on that. Town has had a very good track record on this, and I don't think we've ever had, I'm pleased to tell you, a public officials liability claim for the town of Shaftsbury, and probably our 25 years of working with the town. To your credit. Page 9, we do include, as I mentioned, employment-related practices. The accident coverage is what we refer to for the rec, Howard Park, which does give you $25,000 of medical coverage and dental, and a small amount of life insurance. Hope you don't need that, but it does cover folks who get hurt there, who are involved in town-sponsored activities or activities down there that the town allows to happen.
So if the Bennington Little League is playing up there, is that a town-sponsored
That's exactly.
thing, or is that a Little League has its own?
Well, it has its own coverage, I'm sure of that.
Yeah.
If for some reason that was exhausted, you could use this
Okay.
for a player maybe that really got hurt and ran through the Little League coverage, or maybe a child that didn't have any health insurance, that sort of thing. That's available for that. But the primary focus on this, which Margie mentioned, was when you had the 250th
Well, I was just trying to guess.
celebration.
Back why we
And
did,
there
yeah.
are occasionally town-sponsored activities there, ball games of various types and things that, fun days and so on, right, that go on at Howard Park. Informal some, but it enables you, if you needed to pick up something without arguing about a liability claim, which is a good thing.
Yep, okay.
Because it is true that if someone gets hurt there, it's not automatically a liability claim. The hit with a pitch is a good example that the league representative mentioned.
Dave, if people access the park, even if the gate's closed, and they hurt themselves while
Right.
horsing around or doing whatever unsupervised activities they are undertaking, that would, if they chose to turn to us as a deep pocket,
Well, we
this
certainly
policy,
defend the town, yeah.
that, would this pick up, or would that
That
just be our
answer's no
general
to that. That'd be a
liability?
liability claim for you.
That would be a
And we would
liability,
defend the
yeah.
town in a situation like that, if someone did break in there at night, or
Yeah,
there were some unauthorized activities down there,
yep, yep.
that would be a liability claim. We defend the town, of course. So it would not be this coverage here.
Okay.
In general. But
I had two questions. One is, when we invest in dispatch equipment like repeaters, base radios that are housed off premise but at the state police.
Right.
We now have equipment on the tower. We have repeaters elsewhere. Do we cover that, those installations?
The answer is we should do that. Do you have an idea what the value of those things are, Margie?
Well, I'm gonna, it's not significant, it's less than 10,000.
All right.
I believe. I mean, that's the, we're getting grant funds for this.
We could list that on the equipment
So
schedule.
we're gonna need the serial numbers and the
Right, for
purchase
what they are.
price.
Yeah, and of the items there.
So that was my
Low
first-
cost to do that.
Yeah. Then the second was, if the town is accused as being the source of personal information that leads to identity theft,
Right.
where are we covered?
That one is an area that is uninsured at this time, basically. Cyber liability, we're going to call that. I don't know what the league offers you for that. And there are instruments that would respond to that if the town wanted to look at that. And again, what Marty is mentioning is if there was a theft from the town's system of information that could be sensitive, social security information, whatever is in there, dates of birth, that particular circumstance is not covered at this time under our product. We could look at some options there if you'd want to see that.
No, it's just. I think we've worked hard at trying to be very proactive with our firewalls and how we're using data and transmitting data.
So that's, in a nutshell, our proposal, and I thought you look at the claims, I'm going to leave Margie another run of those.
And building property coverage is replacement cost.
Yes, it is, replacement cost subject to your deductible, and you folks have 1,000 deductible on the property schedule. Any other questions on the,
So if you don't mind, I'm trying to go through VLCT's
Sure.
quote and your quote
Yep.
and see how they compare. So I'm taking essentially your numbers, matching them up, and dividing yours in half, because your quoting
Right.
is for a year and
Right.
the quoting is for 6 months. The big differences I see, one that stands out is public official liability. I notice your quote has come down a lot in the last year. Theirs is like 2,700, and yours for 6 months, yours is like
Rather low.
500 for 6 months.
right, correct, yeah. The reason for that is the product we have is priced pretty competitively for small towns. Your experience is very good, which helps a lot. Look at this board. This is a brilliant board here. I mean, why would you charge more? Ladies and gentlemen, really,
Your quote on vehicles,
right.
commercial automobile, you're at 4,200 for 6 months, they're at 7,400. Is that just because you're
Got some
better,
better
or do
rates
I
for
need
you on
to?
that, yeah.
I guess I would probably, you probably can't tell me the details of what they're
Well, we
covering.
have some, and I'm not looking at the league quote. but,
Yeah, and I haven't either, yeah.
That's what our number is for the vehicles.
Yeah, okay. Well, overall, just assuming that all these numbers are the same, and we're being quoted the same for the same thing, we're looking at 45,000 from you guys and 62,000 from VLCT. Margie, when do we have to make a decision on this?
Oh, pretty soon.
Like before
You would
the end?
have to, yeah,
end of
well, we have to
fiscal.
renew by the end of June. And renewing with Dave would be not such an issue. If you elected to change directions here, I imagine we'd have to do some enrollment work with passive, starting next week. Yep.
Well, we're kind of, as we went through with the health insurance, there's a lot of details you can dig down into, but I'm kind of thinking, given our time frame, and given that the people that we've been with for a long time are still coming in at a significantly lower quote, I'm inclined to continue with them, and maybe, during the course of the next year, look at the details of this, but I'm not sure between now and June 30, we have time to look at the details and then reconvene and make a decision.
I agree.
The league traditionally comes in higher.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, they quoted us, when we were at the select board training, they were bragging that we're one of a handful of companies, a handful of towns left that don't use their insurance. But maybe everybody else just doesn't have the great local guy that we have.
I appreciate you saying that. We do have Shaftsbury, North Bennington, and Pownell. We've had them for many, many years, and we enjoy the same good relationship with all three, and hopefully been able to provide good value for you for that.
And forgive my ignorance, you're Dave Newell. Is this Newell Insurance that we're talking about?
No, it's not. It's Wills Insurance,
Wills, I've heard that, yeah.
named after the late Governor William H. Wills.
Okay.
Been gone for many years. God bless him. Yep.
One of the things that the league kind of talked about, they would give you assistance. I found that almost any insurance company, but it takes us to ask. I mean, I had a OSHA inspection and I was missing a lot of things, and I called up my insurance company and they gave me boilerplate things that I just filled in the names, instantly. So it was just a matter of asking. So I think a lot of the things that the league talked about, not all of them, but some of them are available just with a phone call.
That is correct.
Yeah, I've worked with Dave on the VOSHA inspections and the online training, which I have to say I have not yet put in place, but we now know we have this online university.
Yep.
And, yeah.
So your recommendation, Margie?
Well, it's a pretty wide margin right now. The high and low.
Need a motion tonight.
We need a motion.
Yeah.
I move we renew our insurance with Wills. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thanks for your time, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Margie?
Thank you, Dave. Now, am I supposed to see those, or that was your set?
These are for you. We already had them anyway. Those are the last ones. And copy of the property extension with it.
So I'll talk to you about this.
Yep, that's fine. Property coverage includes those other things that I mentioned in the schedule. Let me know what you need. We'll get cards to you, of course. Thanks for your time
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
and the patience of this audience. How about the audience out here? Right. Oh, wasn't that interesting, fellas? Right. Yeah. Yeah. Bill's still awake. Bill fist. Did you? Oh no! I'm out of here. That's it. Yeah.
Don't get him going. Don't get him going.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, on to item 8, 2015 truck, cab, and chassis bid openings.
I don't think there's a plural opening. I have one bid. Anybody else here? Nope. I am going to open a bid from Delury Sales and Service. Okay, I'm going to read cover sheet. You just comment. Help me out. Okay, we are bidding, we were asking for bids for a new International Model 7600 6x4 tandem axle cab and chassis. And so the base price is $117,895. And since we weren't clear in our specs whether we were trading or not, Jeff has given us a trade allowance if we would like to apply it at $25,000. And cab and chassis delivery date approximately 90 to 120 days. And then we have 3 extended warranty options, which we would have to review. 5-year extended towing coverage, 1,000, or a 5-year extended towing coverage with different maximum benefits per incident, either 550 or 275. Or a 5-year, 100,000 miles, 3,600 hours extended engine full comprehensive coverage. Includes, what doesn't it include? Because it looks like electronics, turbocharger, water pump, and fuel injectors for $2,800.
It's full comprehensive on the engine. I actually submitted a coverage.
And attached here, yeah. Okay. And these are the specs, and, okay. And we requested the EIN number, thank you very much. And warranty information. So it's looking like a responsive bid to me. Now, you have a choice. Normally, we get several bids on a truck. We haven't, so you're, for whatever reason,
And we don't have a road foreman here who's probably savvy about what he was expecting this bid to come in at. I have no idea. Art, do you have a clue?
That's a reasonable price. I think it's within a few thousand of what the last truck was. Is that right, Mr. Delory?
It's actually less than, it's approximately $1,300 less than the 2013 bid. It had multiple bids, and I was the lowest bidder on the 2013. This price is less than that.
So did you scare everybody away the last time?
It worked.
Wow.
We really don't have much choice because we've opened the bid.
Right.
So,
no, you do. You have our bid specs say we have the right to reserve any and all bids if we deem it's in the public interest. You are able to rebid, or you're able to accept as bid. Yeah.
What have they done in the past? You said that's just a cab and chassis.
Yeah.
Now, you would bid out separate for the body, or do you go through them?
Well,
I think
we,
that's already in the works, is it?
normally we trade. There was some discussion about whether this time we would try to sell the
No,
OC.
Marty, Ken's asking about.
Oh, sorry.
The body,
The equipment
Body
to
and
finish the
and
truck off.
and the
Oh, the
plow.
body bids are out.
yeah.
Oh, I've had umpteen calls for that, those specs.
What did you do last time? Did they have them put the body on it, or?
No, it was bid separately.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
separate.
bid
You don't
separately.
put bodies on?
If it's bid as a package, we subcontract out to who's actually bidding it themselves separately. Most towns in Vermont bid the chassis and the equipment separately. That's the way
Okay.
traditionally, that's how that happens. In New York State, it's more of a combined bid where I'm the prime contractor and I get their prices attached to my truck price, but it's, price-wise, it's the same.
Yeah, yeah.
So Jeff, if we did the trade, would the 25,000 come right off the 117?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, okay. And I think that's a reasonable trade, but I think that pending, I think we ought to get the input of the foreman on that.
And the reason, I did the trade-in with or without trade because of that, but in addition to that, I also offer most towns, if they feel that that truck is worth more than $25,000 and you have the opportunity to sell it for $25,000, my numbers are of such that that's fine. I mean, in other words, if you guys can sell it yourselves for more than 25, that's good for the town. And you basically, I can extend that offer. You've got quite a bit of time to make that happen if you'd like, or to advertise for bids on that vehicle, because you won't see the vehicle till October or so anyway. So, I mean, if you wanted to, I think that's a good number on the trade, but if
I do too.
anyone thinks it isn't, then you're welcome to try to sell it, and you've got time to do so, and my other price doesn't change.
Now, Jeff, refresh my mind about how, because we have to line up financing as soon as I get numbers. The first payment that we need on the cab and chassis is when?
You guys gonna go through like a municipal financing
Yeah.
thing like last time?
Yeah,
And typically, most towns will, you can structure any way you'd like as far as the term goes. A lot of them will go, and I think maybe Shaftsbury did, like a 5-year.
no, I just meant first payment to you as the and to the manufacturer. Was it gonna be upon delivery that we had to have? I can't remember how it worked, or if you needed money up front.
No. I just need to get paid for the cabin chassis shortly after I get it. I mean, within
Right, that's what it was, okay. So now you're saying it's gonna be October,
that timeframe.
October, November. Yeah, that gives us time to put financing together, because body bids are due by the 7th, at their next meeting. And then, so we have our numbers, and then we can go out for financing.
I think it's kind of imperative we make a decision on the cabin chassis, because the sooner he can order it.
Definitely.
Because October is pushing it.
Right.
You know, we could have snow, then it's gotta go.
Well, October's for the chassis, right?
That's
And
That's
just
right.
I can't speak for the successful bodybuilder award.
It could be December before we get
Could be.
a plow truck on the road. So the quicker we get the cabin chassis, the quicker it goes to the.
Because
body.
most
I
towns have
agree.
already got something going on.
So it would behoove us to make a decision.
On the
Yeah.
cabin, and let the, like you said, we don't have to decide on the trade-in until
Right,
later on. We
Right.
can either sell it outright or
yep,
offer to give it to him as a
That's right.
trade. So I would make a motion that we accept the bid and order the cabin chassis.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
good.
I just thought of something on that trade. And I'm not gonna take back what I said, but
We're all listening.
between now and October, I know what the truck looks like now, and
Oh, yeah, no, yeah.
if it happens catastrophically between now and October, and then obviously you guys will want to trade it then, but
Yeah, right.
just keep that in mind.
As is.
Yeah.
Okay, of course.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. And we need to get back to you about the extended warranty. And I think they can take action at the next meeting on that.
Absolutely, yes.
What do most places do? What do most municipalities do on the extended warranties?
I think last year, or in the 2013, Shaftsbury bought the engine, which I would highly recommend, as you know. The towing, Shaftsbury also bought a towing coverage. Hasn't, knock on wood, had to use it yet. It's basically like buying insurance like we just did. The towing coverage gets kind of steep It's basically $275 per tow for 5 years, or $550 per tow for 5 years. The pricing is what, 700 and something, 1,000?
Yeah, for the 275
You've got to
for 5.
You've got to tow it a couple times to pay for itself, and not that we're hoping for a tow, you're hoping not for a tow, but
Right.
the problem is customers get upset because standard towing is only like 90 days after you put, I don't start your warranty until Terry tells me you're using a truck, so you don't lose time while it sits at the body company and all that. I start it when you actually put it in service, but standard towing expires 90 days from that day, which isn't very long. And a lot of customers get upset if it's 4 months, 5 months after they've taken delivery of a brand new truck that needs a tow, and they get a big bill for the tow job. That takes this thing out of it. But the engine, I would highly recommend it, and I think we had the same conversation 2 years ago. Towing has gone up, the only reason I mentioned that separately, because you didn't pay anywhere near that. But the prices are all based on history. So there's a reason why towing's gone up. It's because these things, unlike the old trucks, if they stop running, you need a record.
My 84 Mac has never been towed.
Those days are gone. You can't even get it back to your barn if it dies out on the road. Hard enough. So, yeah, you've got time to kick that around if you'd like. I highly recommend the engine, the towing.
If we were a cross-country trucker, where it could be 500 or 600 miles to the nearest garage, yes, but it's 7 miles to Hoosick Falls. So,
Okay, do we want to
we can decide that later.
defer on the towing, on the warranty? Okay.
I'll get you a formal letter. Okay?
Does that take care of that?
That takes care of that.
Number 9, Bennington County Sheriff's FY15 contract renewal.
There he is.
Chad is here.
Come up to the hot seat here.
Yeah,
Please. Be on TV.
just, we don't want to hear anything about insurance from you.
No problem.
Thank you for being here. We're coming to the end of our contract. I believe we have enjoyed the service we've had from you, and I think we're planning to renew, pretty much as a matter of course, the sheriff's contract for patrols and contracted law enforcement. We've seen the contract. Does anyone have any questions about the contract that was distributed?
Chad, is that supplemented the 25 or is that your rate?
It's not, that's my rate.
Oh, okay.
No, it hasn't
We had-
changed.
Yeah, we had, years past, we had cops grants that made it like $9 an hour for my
Right,
services,
right.
but those have since gone, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
We try to keep it as low as we can. I don't know if you've read anything about me changing to propane, but that's one of the reasons, we're doing that, because I'm getting propane for $1.50 something a gallon, so. And then the federal government gives you a 50-cent per gallon kickback at the end of the year for using a greener fuel, so I'm basically putting fuel in my cars for $1.03 a gallon right now, which is
Good.
how I can keep my price at $25.50 an hour for you guys. so.
Can I buy propane from you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we
You
please?
gotta convert your car first.
Yeah, it's my house.
No,
Twice that.
well, if you buy the thousands of gallons that I intend to, they'll give it to you for $1.53 as well.
Then it probably.
So all
would
your
be-
cruisers are,
13 out of the 30 of them are gonna be propane, so, and as we buy new ones, some of them are just too old to do, so. But that, that helps keep the prices down, so I'm not tied to the fuel cost so much, because we include your mileage, we
Yeah.
include the cruiser in that price,
Yeah.
so it's, some of these patrols, you could go 100 miles in a night, so it adds up quick.
Have you still got power in the car, or can you run over?
Well, actually, propane runs at 110 octane instead of 87, so my guys are actually quite happy
somebody
with the
was over
performance of the
making
car.
Wow. Cool.
Don't need nitro then.
No, that's, not quite that
They must love it.
It does, actually. It's so much better for the car. It runs better, it's cleaner. I mean, you can shut it in a garage and not worry about carbon monoxide when it's running, so.
Wow.
It's a much greener fuel.
Yeah, definitely.
Oil changes are longer too, right?
You can go 15,000, but we probably won't. I'll probably, stick with, I think we do them around 5,000 miles. We use synthetic oil in it because that's better too, so. But, we get a couple 100,000 miles out of the cruisers, so.
Yeah.
We try to take good care of them.
Okay.
Anything just from a law enforcement point of view that you would draw attention to?
No, I
draw attention to?
think, again, is we try to work with you folks, and we encourage the community to call us when they're noticing problems, problem times and problem areas. Marky is always very good about emailing me when there are concerns, and we try to respond to that. So, I think doing it how we're doing it has been working, but, if there's something else that you want to see us do, whether it be sit at the school or, watch kids cross at the crosswalk, whatever it is that you want to set your policing priorities, just let us know and we'll do what we have to do.
I do see your sheriff's cars out and about regularly on 7A also. But I have noticed, it seems to me, more and more cars ignoring the 25 mile an hour speed limit on 7A. It seems a couple of times lately when I've been coming out of the school, cars are once again, it seems like barreling by a lot of the time.
Okay, we should probably resurrect our speed cart and get that back out again.
Yeah.
That might not
We
hurt.
did that, we did that
That
when it
works.
first started, but I think the weather got kind of bad there on us, and yeah, we can bring that back out again, and just to remind folks. And
Yeah, that'd be great, because I'd rather see them slow down than see them get mad about getting a ticket.
Yep.
So.
I agree.
Any more questions for Chad? Do I have a motion to renew the sheriff's contract for another year?
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All right,
Great.
Good.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Chad.
Chad,
Chad?
appreciate you coming out.
not a problem.
Item 10, DRB candidate interview for the alternate position. Michael Day is here.
I'm wearing a uniform.
Oh, I should have had both of you sign that. Tim, can you just do your signature?
Yes.
That-
Oh, we needed him to sign it?
It's all right. I'll send it to him and then he can,
We holler at him.
Yeah, grab him. Sheriff!
Tim's got to sign it.
Tim's got to sign it.
Chad, can we get your signature on the contract before you go?
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Pass that back to Mari. Well, Michael,
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
thanks for waiting patiently.
Not a problem.
We understand you want to be an alternate on the Developmental Review Board.
Correct.
Tell us why.
Well, I've had the pleasure of being involved in local communities where I live. We moved here on a permanent basis a little over a year and a half ago. We have had the place that we live in for about a little over 4 years. I have retired, and we got tired of going back and forth and said, this is it. So we're just going to be here full time. So we sold our place in New York State, and we are here. And I had a track record where we lived in Seneca Falls, New York, of being involved in the school board in the local community in one fashion or another. United Way, both on the local and state basis. And this certainly seems to be one way that is an opportunity to learn some more about the area and also help give back, because that's really what I was trying to do back there in New York. We had become familiar with this area, this part of Vermont, because we vacationed up here for something over 30 years. So between here and Arlington, we've vacationed extensively. So we're familiar with the area, but and that's one of the reasons why we chose to live here. So and working on the Development Review Board certainly gives one an opportunity to ramp up their awareness and knowledge and involvement with the local community.
And being retired, I assume your Wednesday nights are free?
That would be correct.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Michael? I know you raised your hand for this position a few weeks ago at least, and we have been slow to act on it. Tom, how long has the alternate position been advertised?
I think we're moving on to almost 3 months.
3 months? Okay. So we appoint him by motion, is that correct?
Has the DRB interviewed this gentleman for?
No, we have not.
Does the DRB typically interview candidates or?
Not based on the understanding of the new policy that was adopted by the select board. That, as of, let me see.
Do you have it with you, Tom?
Yes, I do.
Mine's downstairs.
As of January 31st, 2014, the select board felt it was incumbent upon that board to take the initiative to interview all candidates. So they basically eliminated the process of the DRB looking at the candidates, which I have no problem with. I tend to agree with that assessment.
I'm sorry, you agree with it or disagree with
I
it?
do agree with that the select board should be the point.
Interesting.
Do you have an opinion about Mr. Day's qualifications to serve on the DRB?
Michael allowed me to review his credentials, and I think with the depth and breadth of his prior experiences, I believe he is a really good fit for this position. More importantly, we're looking at, again, 3 months going on with this vacancy. The DRB has functioned well with that absent. However, let's reduce the risk. Put somebody in that position. And along those same lines, so far we have seen nobody kick the door down to be on the board in this position. So I would just encourage the board to make a decision, empower the DRB to move forward with their duties.
Sort of like school boards everywhere. People are just
Oh, just
absolutely
breaking the
beating
doors down.
paths to the door.
Do we need to choose the length of this appointment?
I was going to ask that question as to whether this is a
Well, we've just
replacement
appointed
for a partial term or-
alternates for a term of 1 year.
1 year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me, I
Didn't-
think you asked me last time if I wanted more than 1 year. I said,
Is that right?
I think you said, you asked me last time when I was ready if I wanted more than 1 year, and I said no. I suppose you could make it longer if you wanted.
Tom, do you know, should we be appointing for 1 year, or 2 year, or 3 year?
Right on that, if you just give me a quick second, let me just go through the procedure, because that point does escape me right now. Unexpired term. I know full board members are for 3 years.
Right.
It doesn't say.
Historically, it's been a year,
Okay.
but I believe
even though
ours-
somebody did ask Jay.
So I guess it's discretionary. The candidate wishes to serve long.
And are these terms, are they staggered whenever they come up, or do we need to prorate his term to something?
Yeah, it would, you should be in sync. That would be I mean, practically speaking, we'd be in sync if the term would be through March of 2014 or April 1, however it is we word.
Yeah, I guess whatever
Through April of
vacancy,
next year.
whatever
To conclude.
what is left on the vacancy that he's filling would be what we would be appointing
Right.
for, right? Do we know the answer to that?
That's correct. You are filling the vacancy. The vacant term was Jay's vacant term. No, no, it was that we just haven't had an
Yeah, under,
An alternate.
Policies and procedures, if you look under section B, subsection D, or EC rather, appointees filling in an unexpired vacancy serve for the remainder of that term.
Okay, so it's prorated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
So do we know what's left on the term that he's filling?
That
It's a one-year term.
one-year term will expire in this coming March.
Okay, for the rest of this term, okay,
Yes.
all right.
Because that was for Michael Biddy. Because Michael became full.
Okay, okay.
It was his position that was vacated.
All right, then I move that we appoint Michael Day to the Developmental Review Board to fill the remainder of the term vacated by Michael Biddy,
That's correct.
which expires in March. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ken, did we get an aye out of it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, good.
Thank you.
Michael, welcome
Thank you,
aboard.
Michael. Thank you. Welcome.
Financial reports, Mr. Treasurer.
Good evening. Does everyone have a copy of the budget to actual
Yes, and I
comparison?
have it on the screen behind you, too.
Okay. Well, let me give you a quick overview, and then we'll go back and look at some of the details. What this report is doing is taking our actual results as of June 11th, estimating the remaining 19 days of the fiscal year to come to an estimated fiscal year-end result, and then comparing that result with the approved budget for the year. So, having said that, there are many line items. There's 10 pages of information and many line items. And what I thought I might do this evening is to start and go through major categories, and then if anyone has any questions, go back and look at some more of the details. Alternatively, I'd be happy to go through it line by line, whatever your pleasure is. Mr. Krulikowski is giving me a
I
signal.
already did it.
Okay, good. So for the record then, we budgeted total revenues of $1,695,000, and we're estimating that our actual revenues will be $1,672,000. So that difference is approximately $23,000 less than budgeted revenue. The major reason why that's the case is because included in our budgeted revenue is $73,000 of government grants for sidewalks that we are not going to receive in this fiscal year, or most of it anyway. We've got $64,000 we're budgeting being received, so the difference is $66,000. And that's offset by pluses and minuses in the other categories, the most significant of which are we had an equipment sale that wasn't budgeted. That gave us $21,500, and we had our total tax revenues are about $16,000 higher than budget. So when you put all those numbers together, overall offsetting some of that $62,000, where our revenues are about $23,000 less than budgeted. We go to the expenditure side. We have budgeted expenditures for the year of $1,759,000 and estimated actuals of $1,677,000. So our expenditures are about $82,000 less than budgeted.
Pardon me, do I need to go all the way to the bottom to see the numbers you're talking to?
Bottom of 9 of 10.
Bottom of 9 of 10, or almost the bottom of 9 of 10. And so those are made up of, the major categories are general government, which includes the financial activities, the administration, the town clerk. We budgeted $324,000 in that category, plan to spend about $315,000 by the end of the fiscal year. So that's within $10,000 of budget, and it's actually $10,000 less than estimated actual expenses than budgeted expenses. So that's a favorable difference of about $9,000. When we get into the area of public safety, we budgeted $117,000 for public safety, and I'm on page 5, excuse me, and we have estimated results of $103,000. So we're a $14,000 favorable variance from budget or difference from budget. We're spending less than we budgeted in public safety. And we go down to public works. We're over to page 7. Total public works, we budgeted $964,000. Our estimated expenses are about $913,000. So we're $50,000 less than budgeted in that general category. But inside of Public Works, we have numbers that go in different directions. The Public Works Highway Administration is about $15,000 actual, or $15,000 less than budgeted expenses. When we get to highway construction and maintenance, some of the individual line items are significantly different. For example, I think, if we look at gravel, for example, we're $6,200 over budget. Winter sand is approximately $11,000 over budget. Leveling and sealing, about $3,000 over budget. Capital improvements project are about $2,000 over budget. We've had some favorables as well. And the biggest difference is that we have sidewalk construction maintenance or sidewalk construction budgeted of $90,000, and we're only going to spend about $8,000 of that. The same way we had revenue from the grant we're not recognizing, we have expenses related that we're not recognizing. So that has a favorable effect on total highway construction and accounts for all of the favorable variance in that category. When we get down to highway equipment and maintenance on page 6, we're about $24,000 over budget in that category. There's a lot of reasons for that, and I won't pretend to know them all, but for one thing, I'll point out that, we expect our fuel costs to be
That's
over
right.
budget because of plowing and.
Yeah, that was half of that overage.
And that's a big piece of that overage. Other major categories are individual pieces of equipment. It seems
The tractor
almost
mower.
every one of them, I wouldn't say
Yep.
every one, or not
It
almost.
is, it's every one.
3/4 anyway are over budget,
Yep.
some amount anyway. Solid waste facility, looks like it'll be about $6,000 over budget, and the shorthand answer to that will be the hazardous waste days, as to why that's over.
And the PCB oil removal.
The oil
which
remover
would
and
be
solid
up
waste.
under solid waste.
So that's higher too,
Yep.
and that's offset by some positive items. The parks are about $1,200, $1,300 under budget. Cemeteries are about $3,400 under budget. So we're looking total public works, as I said, about a $50,000 less than budgeted expenditures on that category. Development Review Board and Planning, overall about a positive $6,500 expenses less than budget. Actual of $21,000 against $28,000 of budget. So then community appropriations are right on. They're within $3 due to some budget roundings. And county tax is very close to actual. Debt service expenditures, about $1,000 less than budgeted. So as I said, total expenditures are about $82,000 favorable, or $82,000 less than budget. So that brings us, if we take the revenues and the expenditures, we plan to spend about $64,000 more than we took in this past year. And it looks like at this category, before we get into transfers, we've only spent about $5,000 more than we took in. So we're about a $59,000 favorable at that point in the financial statement. That's
Pardon me, where are those numbers?
That's on page 9 of 10. The caption is excess deficiency of revenues over expenditures before operating transfers in brackets.
Gotcha, okay.
Okay? And then we go into the operating transfers. We have estimating 10,500 of operating transfers in, and we are estimating 93,000 out. So if you will, the total bottom line effect on the general fund is that we had budgeted a excess of revenue, of expenses over revenue. In other words, a deficiency of 117,503. Actually, we planned to reduce the fund balance by 120,000, and so that's where that 117 comes from. The actual reduction in fund balance is going to be about 87,000. So we're about $30,000 favorable, estimating at the end of the year. So our fund balance, based on this, should end the year at about 303,000 compared with the 273 that we had budgeted for ending fund balance. So we're pretty close at $30,000, and it's 10% with all the things that happen in this town government. Any questions on that before we go on to the? Okay.
I have
Please.
a question. The excess slash deficiency of revenues over expenditures of about 59. I believe when we were talking the other day, those came up real close to nearly the last number there, the 30,000 in our underspending of the fund balance, if you want to put it that way. This time they were real close before, and they're about 30,000 apart now. And is there a reason I should understand for that?
Well, I guess I've got to go back to the first part of the question that you've asked, Tim. From memory again.
Yeah, when I came into before, I was noticing that revenue over expenditures and the amount that we were spending down the fund balance, or failed to spend down the fund balance, were about the same number, and this time around 60,000. Revenues over expenditures is again about 60,000. Fund balance spend down is only about 30,000.
I'm sorry, where are you seeing
Yeah.
the 60,000?
That is bottom of page 9, the excess slash.
Oh, the budget figure, okay.
Operating.
63,803? Okay, that's,
Well, I was looking at the 59.
okay, that's the difference between the 63,803, which is the budgeted result, and the 4531.
$45.31 is
the estimated result. It's the 63,803 is the budgeted results of operations before transfers. The 4531 is the estimated results of operations before transfers.
okay.
So the minus 63 is what we said it was going to be. The minus 4,500 is what we're estimating it's going to be, or what we planned it was going to be versus what we're estimating it's going to be. That difference is $59,000 in round numbers. It's just comparing those two numbers.
Okay, so it's the 60, well, 63,803. That is, we overspent by 60.
Budgeted.
No, we budgeted, that's right. We budgeted to overspend by 63,803.
Oh, okay.
But we actually overspent by 4,500.
Okay, so we,
So this is going to be tortured English, but here it comes. We overspent less than we planned to, therefore we had a favorable result when you compare the actual to the budget figure.
right.
Sounds just like accountant talking.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay, so
That's exactly what it is.
we didn't spend roughly 60,000 that we had intended to.
Right.
Correct.
That's the
Okay,
price.
so, and then back down at the bottom,
Right on page 10.
yeah,
When you then take the results of the transfers in and out, because those aren't real revenue and expenses, they are money moving from one fund to the other. They're not the result of transactions with outside the town, if you will, or outside the town government, if you will. You know, our revenue comes from the citizens and other places, and our expenses go out to various sources, employees and material and all that. These numbers are moving from one fund to another. Either they're coming in from what we call our reserve funds. We budgeted to take in 39.3, and we're actually only taking in 10.5 in revenue. And then we're also budgeting to pay out 93, and we did pay out 93. So when we get through with that, we're now down at as I said, the bottom line, if you will. And we plan to spend about $120,000, $118,000 more than we took in, if you will. We plan to reduce our fund balance by $118,000 in the budget. Okay, so we started the year with $390,000 in the fund balance, and then we plan to take that down by $118,000, and that would have left us with $272,800 or $273,000 in a budgeted fund balance. We actually spent down by $87,000, so that leaves us with a higher fund balance than we had planned, and the difference in that spend down between planned and actual is $30,000. Does that help? Pretty good. I've been on the road since before 7 this morning, so that's pretty good.
okay.
Is there one number in here, Bill, that we could find that would show how much interest we're paying on the loans that we've got out if all the equipment and everything was paid down a sinking fund?
No, there's no number on this statement that shows the interest. There's debt service on the equipment, and that includes principal and interest payments.
Because I just.
If you want to know that, I'd be happy to get that number for you. I can generate that.
I would dearly
The
appreciate it.
breakout.
Sure, we can break that down. Yeah, we can do that.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, sir. Don't come at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning
No,
looking
no.
for it. All right.
At your leisure, sir.
No, sir. I'll do it promptly, but
Okay.
not by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Okay. Anything else I can?
Thank you very much.
Do we say good job?
Well, Bill, at some point, I want to have a discussion with how we make sure we reserve, protect that, the grant. That income is showing up in the fund balance, but we want to make sure we don't overtax twice for that, but we want to,
Well, to the extent it's
no, I'm not saying this
It's a
the right
grant.
way.
to the extent it's a grant,
It wasn't, we didn't tax, but,
you get it either.
I know, we didn't get it. Think about this. We also didn't have the expenses.
We do have a little revenue.
So next year, we're just gonna see the grant come in and the expenses go out.
Right. Except for what we did have, forgive me for.
But we're not gonna, we do show another transfer in, we have the supplemental grant expenses. Really, it's just a timing issue, we're gonna expend all of it. The two budgets are gonna be all spent in fiscal 15 instead of,
We're only recognizing 6,400 or by the end of this year.
Right.
That's what we're estimating right now.
right,
And we're only recognizing, I think it's 8,000 on the expense side. So everything else
right,
will come in the next year.
next year, yeah. Yep.
Okay?
You okay there?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's not, I keep thinking that it has to do, that we need to designate a portion of the fund balance, but we don't, because the
No.
money's not there.
Oh, and it's not, yeah, we haven't received the revenue yet, so we don't have to defer it. We haven't, we won't, will net be out of pocket. We won't be getting, we're not holding any funds now.
Right.
That we should be taking out of the general fund, I guess is the easiest way to say that, I think.
Okay,
If we had received something, we would have to
yes,
transfer it to reserve, so we would not
Yes.
be any ending general fund balance.
okay.
Bill?
Thank you very much. Good night.
See you tomorrow.
Town auditor's report.
Town.
Sorry, town administrator's report.
One thing to note, and as soon as our foreman gets back, I think we need to sit down about the roadside mower. Like to get Steve Washburn's take on the engine and hear from Oliver. I'm afraid that, and we do have the money in the next year's budget, that we may end up needing to rent a tractor. The money was there to be used for third-party mowing or for rental or for, as we saw fit. Because when we went to budget, we were fairly certain that we were going to be able to mow. So anyway, that's one concern because it broke down today again. The other is on behalf of our town clerk that spends all winter and spring, and actually all year, licensing dogs. I mentioned that the dog report had come in. She's supposed to transmit this to you annually. She does a lot to try to get people in to license. And she sends second letters and notices during the month of May, but by the end of May, her role is, she's done with the current year licensing. And then it comes over to this side. And when we have a list of over 50, it's quite long, actually, 123 unregistered animals, but that doesn't reflect 123 families. It could be 80 families. It could be 60 families. The constables have helped make the phone calls to these recalcitrant dog owners. And so that's something for us to think about. In a couple of years, when the constables essentially said they were not interested in helping with that task, the select board tried to take it on and make a few calls here and there. And that gets very time consuming. So, and apparently every year, the select board needs to authorize the constables to impound animals, and certainly the wolf hybrid provisions. These are provisions in the statute And I'm bringing this up under other business because I neglected to put it on the agenda. But I think that we're okay not acting until the 7th of July, but I want you to know we have 123 unlicensed dogs. And I can read each and every one of them on camera, so that we know who's not licensing their dogs. We have repeat offenders,
On the website.
and I'll put it up on the website, definitely. But I want you to be able to see the, by statute, what the wording is that you approve every year, and so that's it. I'd like to make sure we get this on the agenda to act on for the 7th.
All right.
And to figure out what the role the constables will play.
Can I ask what the role of the animal control officer is in this? I
She too
noticed-
can make calls.
Okay. I noticed that in the insurance proposal, it gave the amount of salary that each
Yeah,
category was, and it was $6,000-7,000. What,
that's right.
how does, is it, she bills by the hour for calls and that sort of stuff?
She does once a year, she would bill. Yeah, that's right. She tallies all her phone calls and it comes to us, and that's the wage we pay. Yeah. It just was, it went much more quickly when the constables helped, but they also need to be paid for their time.
Yeah.
At $10 an hour. But I tell you, it would be, if we do go right to the animal control officer, that's perfectly fine, but we need to have this woman, we need her to come back and report to you about the progress she is making.
As opposed to just getting the bill once a year?
You say in the past, we have had constables make the calls about unlicensed dogs?
Yeah, that was going on when I first arrived.
Uh-huh.
And I think that they just, I don't even know if they were paid. Judy would have to help us out there, but
Well, we can presume they were paid $10 an hour at the rate that we hire constables at.
What's a dog license?
oh boy,
I mean, just
it's
roughly.
7 and 14 or something.
Uh,
But then you have late fees of $10. Everybody's paying a $10 late fee right now.
It's in the teens of dollars, right?
I think it's $15, I think.
Is it?
$15. That sounds right.
Well, yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm just
But my
thinking,
point is, we could actually end up with costing us more money to get a license than what the license brings in.
Yeah, $15 times 100 licenses roughly is $1,500, so.
we have a need to really take up this aspect of law enforcement. We tried last year, Karen Mellinger, well, she expressed willingness to take this on, and that the League of Cities and Towns put on its first dog control workshop in many years, and it was overwhelmingly attended. So animal control is a big issue throughout, and if you have a police department, you're lucky, but apart from that, every towns try to cope the best they can. And we have a lot of unpaid fines that I'd like to see us bring in, and once you get the phone calls from us, the reminders, and if the animal control officer can't get you, I mean, I think we ought to go right to ticketing, which throws the matter right into the Judicial Bureau, and the fines start to mount up then, but your enforcement means are several-fold, including liens, they dock your license. So in some instances, you're getting water out of a stone. You can't get water out of a stone. But anyway, I think it's an issue that really needs attention. And some forward thinking as we piece together our law enforcement needs. And
this number of, the number of unlicensed dogs that we think we have, we got that from I'm guessing.
She gives you
people
the
who licensed
list.
and then
Yeah.
chose not to.
Yeah, and I'll send it around.
So, do we know how many of those are dead dogs that don't need to be licensed anymore?
A lot of these are probably not dead dogs. She's gone over the list, she would know. These are dogs that were alive a year ago and that have not. And, oh boy, Rollin Road. We have a couple people on Rollin Road that still need to come in.
Paid my license.
Oh, boy.
Must be lawn.
And all over. All over.
Yeah, he's got
So, once you, it might be worth having a brief conversation with the town clerk at some point
Would it be
in a July meeting.
worth to have Tracy come in and talk about it?
Well, I think it's just, we need to get going on the calls sooner than later. So, yeah, I think she should report back
Yeah,
as to the results of the calls,
right.
but should be delegated the calls. Yeah.
Have you got any idea how many of these dogs don't have their shots?
I don't.
I mean, no one ever that might be one reason.
No,
they don't.
no, you wouldn't. We wouldn't, because these are the people that have licensed in the past.
Right. That might be
And
the
in order
reason
to be
they don't.
licensed in the past, they have their rabies, which are not current with rabies, I don't know. It's a very good
Vet bills are
question.
not cheap.
Yeah, that's good
That's when they figure they gotta get their shots, rabies shot and everything else, to get the tag so they can come down and get licensed.
Yeah. So I guess I recommend that we forward this unlicensed list to the animal control officer.
Yeah.
And that if, it might be that the constables would be willing to help if she's overwhelmed, but,
If we tell them to? We vote to? Or can. Okay.
To answer your question, just back of the envelope, 100 phone calls, say, and each one takes 5 minutes. We're looking at 500 minutes. That's like 8 hours roughly of time at $10 an hour. That's $80. So it's a $80 investment into a $1,500 payback. So that's not a bad first step to.
No, but that's just one step,
Right.
If
Then you gotta go follow
Margie's,
oh, then that's it. Then they're out of it. Then they're out of the picture.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we
Any
would want to
impounding
go
and-
further than that. Like,
And ticketing is definitely in Tracy's domain.
yeah. Okay.
so you need a motion to, the board's approval to send the unpaid license list to the animal control officer, is that what you're looking for?
Sure, just to,
So move.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anything else, Margie?
that's it for now.
Other business, I was going to mention our tour of the Daily building that we took the other day. As we said when we proposed doing this, every time we start to spend money on Cole Hall, we always wonder, is there another place that we should be spending our money on other than Cole Hall? And the first thing that always comes up is the Daily building. And so several of us visited the other day. Margie was there, Ken, Tony, and I met with Brian Lent of Daily/Peckham, and he showed us the building. Certainly, it would serve our needs well. It's got plenty of office space, plenty of storage. He does have one set of tenants there right now. Even if we did move in there now, they wouldn't get in our way, I don't think. The So yes, the Daily Building would be a nice place to have the town offices. But the question that none of us really know how to answer, I think, is how do we make that happen? And the big question there is, what do we do with Cole Hall if that happens? The Daily Building, according to Brian, has been largely empty for almost 10 years. They have not been able to find anybody to rent it, which suggests that we might be in a good bargaining position if we approach Mr. Peckham and to see if he, had any interest of, let's go nuts and say he wanted to give us the building. I'm not sure that even if he gave us the building, we could make it work, because we have this building that we don't know what to do with. The Peckham Building, the Daily Building, while it would serve us well, I don't believe we could just hire a mover and move in there tomorrow. For one, it has only electric heat, and I think we would do well if we were to move into it to consider a significant energy retrofit on it.
Does rate 11 go with the building?
Does the what?
I assume it has what's called rate 11, so it's an extremely low cost per kilowatt hour. I mean, that's when you build a building and put electric heat in it, you were able to get what's called rate 11, which is, I think, goes for the life of the building.
Mm-hmm.
They don't give them out anymore because,
Mm-hmm.
but I think.
Okay. No, I don't know anything about that. So maybe that's not as big a scare as I first thought it sounded
That's right.
like. Okay. He did say that a significant part of the building was a more recent addition. I think the building, didn't he say originally went up in the 70s? But there was a significant addition in the 80s that was quite a bit better done in terms of insulation and that sort of thing.
Is there a vault?
There are 2 vaults,
Gosh.
yes.
2
Yeah.
vaults, 2 meeting rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a meeting room that's probably, I would say, at least half the size of this area, which with a smaller table could definitely be made to accommodate select board meetings. Lots of offices, storage, a nice entry that's got a counter that, for greeting the public and addressing what they came in to see about. If we could somehow find somebody that wanted this building and give it to them and get Peckham to give us that building in some sort of swap, maybe something like that could work. But there's a lot of pieces would have to come together.
It is for sale. I mean, it's officially for sale.
No,
No,
It is not officially for
No.
sale.
no.
not yet.
Okay.
The word was technically not for sale right now, but it may be, given the right circumstances.
Yeah, we're kind of being presumptuous in that he's had a building that's been empty for 10 years, and
Yeah.
we could use it if we didn't have to pay for it, and so we're just speculating.
Yeah.
So that's where that is. I don't have any suggestions about how we go forward on that, except maybe to daydream and or just put it aside as one of those things that just can't happen.
Keep it in the back of our mind.
Yeah.
We also talked about the ADA accessibility too.
Well, that wasn't, I thought, pretty good though.
Yeah, the first floor was fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we would have to do some. Yeah, that would have.
Yeah.
That would be some
We'd have to do some.
construction we'd have to do because.
Just don't put anything downstairs the public's gotta go to.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, the big meeting room is downstairs. The room that would most likely be the place we would have select board and DRB meetings is downstairs.
And that would be an elevator.
Right.
The other thing I wanted to mention is I should have had announcements. We didn't have announcements on the agenda. Is we are reconstituting the garage committee, and our first meeting is this Thursday at 7 o'clock. I'm remind everyone about the celebration at the firehouse on Thursday. That is out of the bag now, right? I'm pretty sure the Charlie Becker celebration for his contributions to volunteer fire departments across Vermont is being held at the firehouse on Thursday at 6. And so those of us who are going to come on over here to the garage committee will be doing that at 7. I did send out an email today to the previous garage committee. Okay. Any other business?
I think we've got to decide how we're going to go about redoing the town plan, whether it's going to be one person goes through, or if we all do have to do it at a meeting and go page by page. I don't know if somebody wants to take what notes came in and start in and do it, or if that's too much for one person's, then we all have to do it together. But we've got to decide how we're going to do it.
Yeah, good point. I have made sure that I got a hold of an editable copy of the town plan. I was thinking that I would do the first pass of applying the edits that have come in. Are there any other suggestions from the select board for the town plan other than edits that came largely in the hearings, mostly from citizens? Art, you had some that you asked to be applied to.
Ken did also. Yep.
I don't remember yours, but are they captured in the minutes that?
Ken,
Yeah, well, I mentioned industrial zone up by the Tunic area up there.
Yes, I believe that is in the minutes. Yes.
But,
He also mentioned about the replacing equipment once every 30 months, or it was something about forcing us to replace.
In the notes.
Yeah, but I think it is in the notes. Yeah.
On the industrial zone, I've been thinking about that, and I think my suggestion would be to not try to add a new IR to the current town plan, mainly because we've already expired our old town plan. We need to get a new town plan in place. I think investigating a new IR and doing that right is probably a month of research.
Can the town plan at least say that it should be worked on, or it should be a consideration?
I think we could put that down as a consideration, and I also think in the same manner that we were planning or considered at one point readopting the old town plan, nothing says we have to wait 5 years to do to introduce a new town plan. So if we pass this plan without an IR, but we decide, we do our month of research and decide that we really want that, we could adopt a different town plan, just like we would have done if we had readopted the old one and then a month later adopted the new one. So
what I was thinking, because I forgot about what Brian had said, with that gravel pit they've got that's already industrial. I really think something ought to be in there, because I can't tell you how many people's come up to me and said, they just can't afford their taxes. And the only way you're gonna get the taxes down is to get some more industrial in here.
Mm-hmm.
And after seeing Mac Molding in Arlington, they don't have a city sewer up there. That Mac Molding, that's their main plant. And that's in a gravel pit. That was an old gravel pit up there.
So it's something in the town plan that said, as Art was suggesting, that the town should look for new places to place industrial zones, be the kind of thing that you're looking for?
Yeah, something like that. People are gonna start moving out of here, they just can't stand it.
Okay. One other thing I've been thinking about the town plan is what I thought was one of the big deals that hasn't gotten very much attention from the public, or very much comment from the public or the board, is the VR2 zones, the rezoning rural residential around the village center to allow for smaller lot sizes, with the idea of making building land available and affordable, a wider range. I guess the way one citizen suggested, we make a wider range of housing available in Shaftsbury. I've been thinking about that, and given, one, nobody seems to have a very strong opinion about that. Two, there could be some concern about clustering more septic in a village center. That's probably not an issue, but it could be. And I think Dave Mance was saying things about what was going on when we had more industrial, particularly at Stanley Tool, and about having stores and restaurants in here that we don't have anymore. I just don't know that there's an attraction there to building smaller houses in the village center. I mean, by my way of thinking, if somebody is going to build if they need a $200,000 house, it's because they got a job in Bennington, and they're going to have to drive to Bennington to go to the store. Are we really going to be able to attract them to build a house in the village in Shaftsbury? Aren't they going to build a house in Bennington? And I think, we had Oliver Duran say that he was threatened by the idea of his land being rezoning. I suspect that some of the other people in the land that we're proposing to rezone just haven't taken notice yet, but when we do, we'll probably hear from them. And although I think, we should be prepared to fight battles that we think are worth fighting. No one on the board that I've heard has issued a strong opinion about the desire to have a VR2. And so my inclination is to not take the Planning Commission's recommendations relative to VR2.
I would take that out, Tim, because in that area, Doug in this town, I've worked over there. I don't think you can get a septic to pass over there.
Well, we did talk about that. And I thought we decided that there are areas over there that you probably can't put septic in, some of the VR2 anyway, the one that was close to Oliver, but there's probably places there where you can. I
don't know.
I think you probably can, but again, we keep talking about the clustering of, the lack of sewer as an issue in the village, and the idea of trying to attract more septic into the village kind of goes contrary to that.
And I'm confused on if it is part of the town plan, does that automatically change the zoning just by adopting the town plan, or is that it
No.
would have to be adopted in a separate vote? Is that not right?
That's right.
Correct.
So I guess it wouldn't hurt anything to have it in there, but I don't see any reason. I agree with you. There's just, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, well, I believe
Concentrate at this point.
the Planning Commission is prepared to come forward with zoning as soon as we adopt a town plan that says we should have a VR2. And if we don't think we should have a VR2, I don't think we should put it in the town plan. Well, I will start to edit the town plan with the idea of applying the edits as we've heard them. I don't think we've heard any that we disagree with in particular, and I will add a suggestion that we look for more industrial zones, and that I will take out the idea of VR2.
I think it would be helpful to have them categorized by page, all the references that we had, so we could create a table just of the, so many people cited map X or paragraph 4, line 2, to go down through that.
Well, I was planning to do it in Word and leave track changes on so that you can see what I changed. And
Oh, yeah, no, but so just a checklist to see if you hit everybody. See what I'm saying? I was just trying to figure out how or you just take it by the minutes. Just,
there's probably a way in track changes to identify where the changes came from other than just all from Tim Scoggins, and I'll see if I can do that. And then if I can put the name in
Footnote it.
for who the changes came from. Yeah. All right. Review of action items. I just caught a couple of things. It was suggested that we look into creating probably a computer map that keeps track of maintenance on the roads, when it happened last, when the roads were last graded, so that we know when we're falling behind and can better keep track of that. Bill Fisk was going to provide Ken a figure on what we're paying in interest versus what we would have paid if we had thought well ahead and had saved up for all of the equipment that we're buying.
Yep.
We need to decide on the warranty on the new truck. We need to decide how we're going to deal with the tractor that keeps breaking, the mowing tractor that keeps breaking, whether or not we're going to keep fixing it or just hire out roadside mowing. Those are kind of just, I guess, think about for next time. And then think about, how we want to deal with the unlicensed dogs, but we dealt with that, didn't we? We sent it to the animal control officer, so that's not an action item then. We're done with that for the moment, right?
Yep.
I'm concerned that the tractor issue we may need action before July 7. I mean, if it's broken,
They just fixed that, didn't they?
I don't know.
Yeah, but what's wrong with it? Is it just another oil leak, or is it something more serious? Okay, they didn't,
No, I know, it's the same thing that Oliver had to fix last week. Seals, and they've blown seals again.
remain oil seal on the engine, which means it's gotta be split in two.
Yeah, because it was in 2 when I went in the other day.
Why is it split in two?
Yeah, you have to take the tractor and take it apart in the middle, and there's a oil seal on the main engine oil seal. On the outlet shaft.
That's because it's the manual transmission, right?
That's right.
But they just fixed that thing.
Well, Oliver said this seal won't leak, so, but it did, I guess.
Yeah, broke again today. Same place.
Well, Oliver donated untold hours of time in rebuilding that tractor.
Definitely.
So we
If
can
it's-
only thank him for that, but he may be,
But, let's talk to him. If it's just an oil seal, it may be a ridge on the shaft that needs to be, sometimes they can slide a sleeve on that if there's a ridge.
Yeah,
Depending on
that's,
the kind of seal, you can destroy them putting them on.
Yes, that's right.
well, that's why
But-
Steve is here all week, and he was gonna try to reach.
so why do we have to decide
Oliver.
something about that before end of year?
No, it's,
Well, we're gonna get way behind on roadside mowing if that tractor isn't out there. But, we ought to wait and see what Steve says in the next 24 to 48 hours, and then,
it's gonna be really hard to rent another vehicle or another tractor because all that equipment's gotta be put over onto it. It's all specialized and all gotta be, and
And the guys are doing it now. They're got their contracts.
that's right.
yeah, we
And-
said
and-
no to Dave Hosley.
Yeah, so to go out and say to Dave Hosley, hey, come down here, we won't see him for.
I'm busy.
Kind of busy, so I think we just gotta.
Persevere.
Persevere.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
You're stuck with it for the year.
All right. shall we go home?
Yes.
Please.
I move we adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All
You
in
know, it
favor?
might be that we get a little